Right guys, we're here at Archerfield Links bringing to you a brand new putting series. Now this is brought to you in association with Callaway, Odyssey and their new triple track technology, and we've enlisted the help of renowned putting coach Gary Nicol. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Having been a golf coach for over 30 years and spent an awful lot of time in the last few years concentrating largely on putting, there are a number of principles that I, myself and a guy called Carl Morris, who I co-wrote The Lost Art of Putting and The Lost Art of Playing Golf with, have worked on over the last few years and had some fantastic results with, some great results from people all around the world. And we put together what we believe are the 6 putting performance principles. We've covered a lot in this video series, but the first one we're going to mention right now is your story. Be very careful and very aware of how you speak about yourself and your putting, and how you speak to yourself as well. Because if you keep telling yourself you're not very good at putting, guess what? You will live up to that story and you will live out that story. So be careful about your story, be aware of your story. But the great thing about any story is, especially if you're the author, you can change that story. Which leads us on to attention. Golf is very much a game of attention. Now, we did a couple of things with Andy in a number of these videos talking about where his attention was. And we kind of deciphered that when he took his attention away from what he needed to do and what he needed to do with the putter, and we focused much more attention on what he needed to do with the golf ball, his putting performance improved quite dramatically. It freed him up mentally, it freed him up physically, and he started to hold an awful lot more putts. One of the things that really helped both Andy and a number of golfers we work with are asking good questions. Now, in our performance principles, we have 2 questions, but we've actually added a third, which we find really, really helpful. So the 2 questions we would like you to ask on each and every single putt, every time you play, every time you practice. Question number 1 is it possible the ball can go in the hole? The answer is always going to be yes. The second question would be, what does the ball need to do to go in the hole? Well, essentially it needs to travel on the right line at the appropriate pace for that line, which leads us on nicely to line and pace. Which would be more important? Well, my belief is, or our belief would definitely be, over the last few years, it's changed a little bit. Everyone's been very kind of line-centric in most coaching, most instruction, most golf teaching. But we firmly believe that the line is determined by the pace. Pace gives you options on line. Line limits you to the perfect pace. So make sure that you pay a little bit more attention to the pace. If you get better at pace, you'll virtually eliminate 3 putting. If you get better at pace, you'll have a lot more single putts. If you get better at pace, you'll have a lot more fun on the golf course because you'll shoot lower scores. In order to be good at line and pace, you must understand the principles of green reading. Now, ordinarily, most people would read a putt down the line, think about the line, think about the line, think about the line all the time. But as you look down the line, what you do is you actually, that vision becomes foreshortened, so we don't actually see the full length or full value of that putt. Our advice would be, go to the low side, stand far enough back so you've got ball and hole and peripheral vision. You triangulate, so then you can start to see if the ball is going to have to go uphill or downhill. Is it curving right to left? Is it left to right? Whatever it's doing. You can then, from the low side, you can start to gather better clues, better information that are going to better equip you to hole more putts, or at least get the ball a lot closer to the hole. So reading putts from purely down the line is going to foreshorten the look of everything. So if your brain is seeing 10 feet of what's a 12-foot putt, guess what's going to happen? Your body will organise the movement around that perception of 10 feet rather than 12 feet, and you'll probably leave it short. How do we visualise putting? When we're on the golf course, we tend to be pretty good at visualising full shots. We watch golf on TV, we watch the shot tracker, makes the golf viewing experience 1,000 times better, so we can actually see what the ball's doing. When it comes to putting and visualisation, some of the broadcasting is now very, very good at showing you the Hawkeye putt predictor, which is great. And if you can imagine, you can visualise, if you could visualise that putt predictor before you hit any and every putt, would that be helpful? I'm sure it would. So again, going back to the questions, is it possible you could hole this putt? Absolutely. What does the ball need to do in order to go in the hole? It needs to travel on a line at the appropriate pace for that line. So once you start to ask these questions, some images will start to form in your mind. And the third question, what does a really good putt look like? Well, a really good putt doesn't look like it's going to miss 2 feet short and 3 feet right. doesn't look like it's going to go 3 feet past the hole and a foot to the left. A really good putt is going to look like it's just going to fall into the hole at the perfect pace and put a big smile on your face. So we know that if you start to apply these principles that we've spent a lot of time putting this together, and we've spent a lot of time working with lots of different players of all different levels. If you start to apply these principles, we know that you will hold more putts, shoot lower scores, and have more fun on the golf course, which is what it's all about. So happy putting and good luck going forwards.